Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. Today we're going to be looking at Aston Villa transfer targets. We've picked 4 players between us who we think Aston Villa should be interested in this summer. Stay tuned. Start with one of your targets, Matt. We're going to go with your 2 that you've chosen first. Yep. Your first one's Alan McGregor. Talk through to the Villa View public why you think we should be signing him.
I feel like it's a sales pitch, but to me it's a sensible choice in goal. Safe pair of hands. Obviously spent the back end of last season on loan at Cardiff City, who were a lot more stable with him in goal, a lot better than Neil Warnock, and I do think he was part of that reason. He is one of the most experienced goalkeepers out there at the moment. If you're looking for experience, then he is the one. I think that Mark Bunn, as we've touched on many occasions, will never be a number 1 goalkeeper. It's looking unlikely that Sam Johnson will be coming to Villa Park at the time of recording. He's been linked with Sunderland, with Leicester City. So for me, Alan McGregor is the next choice. Currently at Hull City, they've got Marshall, who will be their number 1 next season. He ended the season as number 1. They've also got Jakupovic.
Oh, he did play the last game,
yeah.
sorry.
Jakupovic, who played the majority of games under Marco Silva. There's 2 good keepers there.
Well, he's been linked elsewhere, yeah. Jakupovic, hasn't he?
But to me, Alan McGregor is too good to be sat on the bench. And the way Hull City are, I think they could quite easily let him go to us for a fairly cheap amount as well, because of his age and the fact he's a goalkeeper. £1.5 million, I reckon, roundabout sort of figure, should do it. And just to me, he's a perfect fit for us at the moment in terms of that extra bit of stability in goal. We've had too many seasons where we've had these needy goalkeepers. Sam Johnson had that shaky start. Pierluigi Golini had his moments. If we're looking for somebody that can rely on, Alan McGregor is the man for me. And then we look to push on our younger goalkeepers as well, like Jed Steer as well, to challenge him as well.
You've made some reasonable points. I think one thing you missed is the fact that obviously he's worked with Bruce and our goalkeeping coach, Gary Walsh, before. I know Johnston's been linked with all these other clubs, but do you not just think if he goes to, say, Watford, he's not guaranteed to be number 1? Do you think he'll just end up coming back to Villa because he knows he'll play there?
I don't think so, because Gomez is a liability at Watford at times.
Oh, they love him there.
Yeah, they love him, but God knows why. But obviously Watford changing manager, Marco Silva, could be interesting to see what he wants to do. Different ideas, different approach to stuff at Watford. Leicester City, Kasper Schmeichel's future's in doubt as well, so there could be a number 1 jersey up for grabs there as well.
He's not good enough to be number 1 at Leicester at this stage, though.
Probably not, but
I think you're wrong. I think he's going to end up back at Villa eventually. I think there'll be a loan compromise, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I think your reasoning for McGregor is quite sound, and obviously having worked with Steve Bruce before, it's a reasonable shout. Next up, you've gone for Aidan Flint, the Bristol City centre-back. I'm not going to stand here and lie. I don't really know that much about him. I don't think Bristol City were on TV too much last season, so I've not seen him play that much. I'll leave the floor open to you, because I'm wondering what you're going to come up with there.
Well, for me, it's all about depth when it comes to centre-backs, and you're not going to be able to go out there and sign somebody like Lewis Dunk, Brighton's centre-back.
Well, no, because he's Premier League.
Yeah, but the example is we're not going to be able to go and claw somebody at that standard or say value at this stage of the position we're in. We need somebody that's going to be a solid backup to the likes of Nathan Baker and James Chester. I think that sadly Tommy Elphick's days could be numbered at Villa Park, which is sad because I haven't got an issue with him personally, but we need that extra depth in that area of the field, and Aidan Flint's one of the better Championship defenders that can really push on with the right partner. He struggled at times alongside Nathan Baker the season before at Bristol City. Him and Flint are often credited for keeping Bristol in the league single-handedly as much as the goals from Codger. So for me, it's the logical choice of player. We've been linked with him already at some point over the last year or so, and I think it's around £4 million. It's been rumoured that Bristol would consider letting him go with his contract situation. And I just think personally we need someone that has got that Championship experience that can leverage us, but not somebody that's legs have gone as well. He's still got that. And from set pieces as well, he's actually a real danger. Scores a lot of goals. So for me, I think that he's a really good idea to have. I mean, there's plenty of suggestions you could go with, but I've just decided to pick out him as a player that could fill that role as a depth player.
Do you not think we should be going for someone who's better than what we already have? So if we're going for a centre-back, then we should be looking for someone who's perhaps... James Chester's going to play every week, he's club captain. Yeah. Is Flint better than Baker? Because to me, I'm not sure.
They're probably on a par, I'd say, but I think that's what it's about, is that extra bit of depth. Somebody that could push on and be better, and just that bit of a challenge between the two of them, because the more competition you've got, healthy competition is a way that keeps the squad strength together and potentially pushes players on that little bit extra more. Because if there's somebody waiting that can do a job as well, there's always that little extra bit of pressure. It's the same with the goalkeeping situation as well. If you sign an experienced goalkeeper, say for example Alan McGregor, and then you've got somebody like Jed Steer on the bench, or if you sign Johnston even, there's a pressure from a young goalkeeper that's up and coming that wants his chance, that could potentially take it if you're not performing to your level.
you not think 4 million on someone who's not necessarily going to be first choice in a position where at the moment, at the time of filming, we're relatively well stocked? That's a waste of resource.
Well, it depends what situation we come out in terms of Tommy Elphick leaving. Mick Richards is another one. Don't think I probably believe him, but you never know. If he did leave, I think we're really lacking in that extra bit of experience in defence.
See, to me, centre-back, if Elphick and Richards, I don't know what's going to happen with Richards, but I think Elphick will go, as you've touched on. So we've then got Chester and Baker. I think Toner can do a job as a fourth choice centre-half. How often did our fourth choice centre-half play last season, Richards? Yeah. He barely played, so that shows that you don't necessarily need that depth all the time. I don't know about Flint. I'm not convinced. We'll see the Villa View people think that what you say is true, or whether they agree with me, but I guess we'll find out. We'll leave that open to discussion. I don't know, I just think 4 million on someone who's arguably going to be third choice, I think that's too much in the current financial climate.
Perhaps it could be. Left field shout, to say the least, down the field first one, which I admire. You've gone totally off the cuff here. Sam McQueen, who's often played left back for Southampton.
He's a bit left field. I didn't want to be obvious and pick someone that you've seen mooted around in the paper. For example, Max Grade, or someone that's been linked with Villa. The Birmingham Mail have mentioned him a few times. I just think Sam McQueen fits the profile of the kind of player that we should be looking for. I've mentioned before with players that have come through Arsenal, Chelsea Academy, I like to sign people like that, and Southampton is a renowned academy. It's a very good academy, arguably the best academy in the country, probably bar Chelsea. Southampton have brought through some great players. He fits the bill age-wise, and I think he probably fits the bill with what we need, because I think Amavi's going to go, and he's obviously doing a job as backup left back / backup left winger at the moment, and Sam McQueen at 22, similar age to Amavi, probably cheaper wages. He fits that bill. I don't think he's going to get a look in at Southampton unless Ryan Bertrand gets sold, because he's got Bertrand and Targett, who's just been called up to the under-21 squad, ahead of him for the position of left back there, and I don't see him getting in past Redmond left midfield either. It wouldn't perhaps be a permanent move. He signed a new contract recently, so I'm not sure Southampton will be up for selling him permanently, although that may well just be to protect themselves so that they get a fee for him. I just think when I've seen him play, I remember he came on against Burnley earlier on in the season, at the start of the Premier League season. He had a really good game. He was arguably man of the match. He's quick, he's quite direct, he's quite strong, and obviously the fact that he can play left midfield and left back, he's good defensively and he can go forwards. He's been converted from a left midfielder to a left back by Southampton, but he's shown that he can do a job as a left back and do it to a high standard, which sometimes maybe Amavi hasn't done the job defensively. I just think he's the kind of player we should be looking at, a young player who's got his whole career ahead of him.
Would you not say, though, that there's always the argument that you're loaning players, they're going to have a really good season and then you're never going to see them again? We are benefiting Southampton here. We should be competing on the same level as Southampton. Obviously, we're not, we're in the Championship, but surely you'd rather develop what we've got defensively and attackingly than benefit arguably one of the sides that really don't need to have a benefit of a Championship side, loaning one of their players. Obviously, Sam Gallagher's an example of a player that played for Blackburn last season on loan from Southampton. He's done quite well and gone on. We don't know what he'll do next season for Southampton. That's an example of Southampton utilising the loan system very well and benefiting them. But how much can that actually benefit Villa if we're just going to have him and then potentially you might not even get in the side if Jack Grealish is shoved out on the left wing, for example?
I agree with what you're saying, and what you've said makes sense, and obviously it's something I've said before when we were signing Sam Johnston on loan. I was using that very argument that you've just used against me there. I think he's gettable as a permanent signing because he's third choice left back, as I say. He's not going to get a game at Southampton as it stands, and the new contract, as I've said before, may well just have been so they protect themselves, which is good of them to get a fee. That's good management from Southampton. I think he's gettable, someone that's under the radar. You won't have seen him linked with anyone, and he is a good player from what I've seen of him. He's played for the England under-21s as well, and I know Bothroyd was very impressed with him in his debut. I think that's the pedigree of player we should be looking at for me at the moment. He's not going to. I'm not saying he's going to dislodge Neil Taylor, because Neil Taylor is a very, very good left back, but he's a good option and he can do two jobs, which is what Amavi's been doing, and I think he's going to go.
Okay. Dan, your final one, who is it?
I've gone for a player who I watched live both times against Villa at Villa Park and at the Brentford game, someone I've been quite a champion of on Twitter for about a year now, Ryan Woods. A player that slipped through Villa's net initially. He's a local boy. He's played for Shrewsbury Town before he went for Brentford. He's a good player. He's ran the game both times that we've played Brentford this season. He just popped up everywhere. He's a deep line midfielder, but you always see him in the game. He's always involved in the game. He's not got much stature about him, but I just think for home games, when teams come and sit back, I've said this in previous videos and on the podcast, You don't necessarily need a Jedinak for games like that because teams aren't going to attack you. You need a deep line midfielder that can help break teams down, and I think Woods would be that man. I think perhaps we've got the makings of a midfield three in Jedinak, Lansbury and Hourihane, but then perhaps after that we're a bit short of quality. I think we need another central midfielder in. Bakuna's done a job there at times. I'm not sure whether he's got a long-term future at Villa. Gardner, I really desperately want him to make it, but I just think his confidence is on the floor, and I think as a backup option at the moment he's adequate, but I just think we're a little short in central midfield still, and I think Ryan Woods is the kind of dynamic player that we are lacking at the moment, a ball-playing deep midfielder, because we've been doing Lansbury. Lansbury's done that job a few times. That doesn't suit you. He's a box-to-box player. You've got to have different players for different games. I think Ryan Woods would be a good option. I think he's someone that would jump at the chance of moving back to the Midlands and playing for Villa.
Well, I've been an advocate of him as well and would have said him, but I knew for a while you'd have been picking him.
Yeah, well, great minds think alike. So that's all for today's video. There's 4 players there that Matt and I think that Aston Villa should be looking to sign. Do let us know in the comments below who you'd be looking at, and comment on the recent rumours that we have actually been linked with Glenn Whelan, but for me, Ryan Woods is a more dynamic option, as I've mentioned. Remember to subscribe with your post notifications on if you are new to the channel. Check out our previous videos. There's been a few bits of content on the channel over recent days. Thank you for watching Up the Villa. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.